Hello. I'm going to do a song here called Between Two Thieves. I wrote a couple years ago, and I keep meaning to put it on at Easter because it applies to Easter and all of us who knew Jesus the way we know him and the story. So here it is. It's called Between Two Thieves. Down the path they wandered, 12 rough and dusty men, into the garden of Gethsemane. The sun at dusk it glistened on those shiny olive leaves. They were swapping jokes and laughing and telling each other where they'd been. But the one was leading them, he was serious and grim, different than they'd ever seen him before. His name was Jesus, the one that taught them well about what was to happen and how they should carry on. They sensed something different that night. Maybe he was leaving them. He was on that night on the cross between two thieves. Battered, humble, broken, and deceived. He was hung that night on a cross between two thieves. Spat on, punched, and nailed to a tree. Jesus knew what lied ahead and what he had to do. He asked his men to stay awake for an hour or two. But one by one they fell asleep, leaving him alone. And he was overwhelmed by the Spirit and what was to happen that day. He prayed so hard that blood seeped from his pores, while his disciples slept so soundly, and some even snored. They woke to a disturbance, led by the one who would deceive. He was dragged by the garden so they could do their dirty deed. He was hung that night on a cross between two thieves. Broken, battered, humbled, and deceived. He was hung that night on a cross between two thieves. And he was spat on, punched, and nailed to a tree. Well, listen now, they beat him. They beat him beyond recognition, with no regard to his health or his condition. Convicted of a crime that he did not commit, dragged up a hill, mocked and belittled all the way, and with 9-inch nails they nailed him to a tree and lifted him up for all the world to see. And on that night, the cross between two thieves, he was broken, battered, humble, and deceived. He was hung that night on a cross between two thieves. Spat on, punched, and nailed to a tree. Cried out in excruciating pain, Father, why have you forsaken me? And the thief on his right been convicted of a crime, said, truly you are innocent and the Son of God. And the Lord said, the Father has revealed this to you. And Jesus said, tonight you'll be with me in glory. He was hung that night on a cross between two thieves, a broken, battered, humble, and deceived. He was hung that night on a cross between two thieves, spat on, punched, and nailed to a tree. Have you ever been nailed to a tree?